face and start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
Pat Riley.
Oh, Mr. Goodnight, man of the hour. Tower of power, too sweet of a sour.
You forgot you were here for a minute.
I did. The door was open, so I was extremely distracted.
And joining us today, the co-host of the Mean Boys podcast and one of my favorite people on earth. Give it up for...
Keith Carey.
Yes.
That's me.
Hell yeah.
I do things. I'm glad to be here. This is the most interaction I've ever had with Mr. Goodnight.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, and for a long time I wasn't convinced you were real. Like you were just some weird like dehydration hallucination I had at Mike's. Like,
I'm not sure if I'm real sometimes, too.
I was telling you about this at fucking Kyle's shoot. I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I was telling you this at Kyle's shoot, but Mr. Goodnight, you're responsible for one of my favorite moments in comedy, which is we were doing the Grandview Market open mic, and you went up before me dressed as a karate master for no reason, and you were like, "Now I'm gonna break one pencil," and you karate chopped a pencil in half. You're like, "For my next feat, 2 pencils," and then I had to follow it. I did like one joke and just stopped and went, "What am I even doing?" And just left.
It was an awesome demonstration of not only the power of Kung Fu, but the power of God that night.
It made a believer out of me.
Hey, that's really all I'm there for.
That was whenever people ask me
him.
what comedy's like, that's what I tell them. One time I got buried by a man karate chopping pencils.
One time I did a thing with a pumpkin, and I hid behind stage in the pumpkin talk, and people were pissed when they had to follow that one.
Wait, what?
What did you do with
What
the
did
pumpkin?
you do?
I used to just put a pumpkin on stage, and I'd hide behind a curtain and go, "Hey, I'm the pumpkin."
Oh,
There was that one.
Don't flip your gourd and all this kind of things like this.
flip
Your gourd. I remember
I
that.
like to play squash, and these things, a lot of puns.
I will pay however much it costs to rent the Laugh Factory just to watch you do that for 45 minutes.
Any time, you understand. Halloween, I think, would be good.
My favorite one of those karate demonstrations that you had is when you did self-defense demonstration with Butt Rock Brett.
That one, I think, that was the ultimate because that got really physical, and people thought shit was really going down.
Well, there was one where you I think you gave Butt Rock Brett a Stone Cold Stunner, which is a straightforward karate technique, and Butt Rock Brett got launched into the air and knocked over a bunch of musical equipment because there was a band there, and just the musical equipment was flying. There was 4 cans of O'Doul's that got knocked over.
that should be in Belt Rock's campaign speech against Trump. Is like, hey, at least I can take a Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah,
He
right.
did a hell of a flop too.
Yeah.
A bunch of O'Douls getting knocked over is the sign of a really cool lame party.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
Man,
what
this
it's
is
like
as dope
with
as
these
it possibly
guys.
could be.
I'm gonna put this lampshade on I'm gonna put it back on the lamp.
Yeah,
It's a little crazy.
It's Brad's lamp. I don't want to.
I don't want to disrespect Brad's house.
We're guests.
We're
Thanks, Brad.
Brad's just off to the side flipping a burger. Hey,
Brad goes to bed early, and then it gets weird.
by the way, I was down in Birmingham doing some stand-up at The Crack at Buck Mulligan's. Big shout-out to Nick Thomas, who set the show up for me along with Chris Ivey. But our friend Ben Evans, who did the goods a couple weeks ago, mentioned in his stand-up, he goes, guys, I'm not going to say my career is going great, but I did just get followed on Twitter by a man named Butt Rock Brett. And I was like,
Well, he's trying to get his way into the laughing skull, I'll tell you. He's trying to build those networks.
No, the one thing that I think I mentioned to you when I went home to Alabama, we had Ron Babcock on our show recently, but then also in 2014, and he mentioned that the worst show he did on his tour was in Auburn, and it was ruined by a nefarious ne'er-do-well named Roadkill. Who is a man who has a bunch of squirrels living in his pockets. And
To be fair, there's nothing wrong with that because Bob Ross did too. So
Straight up, prove to me you're not describing Mr. Goodnight.
I don't let animals live in my pockets.
and he would
They can visit, but They are guests in my pants.
I got cable up in there.
You got stolen cable in your pockets.
And in my pants, you understand?
Yeah, but doesn't he like roll joints made out of shake on a like a
on a plate.
I like this guy already. I'm sorry I ruined your show, Ron, but can you get me this guy's phone number?
what kind of collector plate is it? Is it like
well, it's a Jesus. It's a plate that your grandmother might hang on the wall with Jesus on it, except that he has given Jesus a Confederate foraging hat, 2 flintlock pistols, and has a Confederate flag where the heart usually goes in the middle of his chest.
I've never been in love with a man until now.
And
I think this might be the only acceptable usage of the Confederate flag.
Well, he's rolling a joint on it. You understand?
We're putting a lot of layers of irony on this.
the first time I ever met him was when he told me I was born on a screamed-in porch. That was his introduction to me. And I know we're making this sound like a fun guy. He's fucking terrifying. Like, he's real sketchy. So I
got this. This is a real switchblade. My friend snuck it in from Mexico. One of those guys.
I would think the biggest problem with this guy might be rabies.
Yeah, probably so. And I was back home and we were hanging out at a bar. The bar is called Fish Shizzles, Fish and Scrimps.
I mean,
It's just a dyslexic kind of place or something.
Someone at City Hall had to write on a business license Fish Shizzles, Fish and Scrimps. SKRIMPS.
it's just amazing that there's also a Snoop Dogg pun in there, because it does not seem
Yeah.
like where you'd find that.
Yeah. So
That's why I'm a champion of small business. So those sorts of things can come into fruition.
Like Linda McMahon.
Come into fruizzles.
Yeah, fruizzle.
But we're sitting at Fish Shizzles, and here's how bad the situation in my hometown has gotten. Fish Shizzles is the good bar now. Like,
Oh, no.
like our bar's gone, so the one we used to go to. So now we go to Fish Shizzles, and I'm sitting there, and then just blowing in the Alabama breeze is just a very specific combination of smells of whiskey and body odor. And I'm like, oh god, Roadkill's right behind me, isn't he? And I turn around and he's just already in a monologue.
Nice.
Because Roadkill will just show up and talk to no one forever.
Right.
And so while I was sitting there, he's just like sitting there. He's like, well, then the goddamn my bike is broken. It's been broken for 5 years. He's just going, and I'm about his broken bike, and I'm just like trying to have a conversation with my friends who I haven't seen in a year. But I was catching certain bits of his conversations. I started texting Babcock. I was like, hey, the guy who ruined your show in Auburn? He's sitting right next to me, and he's a nut. And so I just texted him. So these were the things I picked up. At one point, he goes, when's the last time you wrestled an alligator? And then when there's no response to that, because it's indeed a rhetorical question, it turns out, when's the last time you wrestled an alligator? When's the last time you raised a vulture up from scratch and he targets your ass while you're on the bicycle?
Well, his name is Roadkill.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had never put that shit together until that moment. I was like, is he Roadkill because he has vultures? Like, is he?
Yeah.
This is a tale of betrayal. He raised it up from scratch, and it turned on him.
Scratch, like how you make biscuits. Yeah. Yeah, you raise it up from scratch, and then it did turn on him. He was
This
like,
is how you repay me.
This is all I've ever done to you.
After I saved you from that gator.
Yeah.
Judas!
And two buzzard.
You damn flying Judas Iscariot.
Judas is a scary bird.
I had that egg uncomfortably up my ass for 14 days while it incubated.
Didn't have to. Would have been fine elsewhere.
We made a soul connection.
I'm a method bird, Dad.
Oh my god. But yeah, he that was one of them, and then at a certain point he goes, that is not what I call shrapnel.
Volume 12.
Hanson, Lit Biscuit, Sublime. Now that's what I call shrapnel. And then also just to no one, surf's up, dude.
Which, given that you're in Alabama, can't imagine it was.
Yeah, no, not in that part of the state anyway.
I kind of like this guy still. I mean, can we get him on the show if he promises not to bring any animals in here?
I
He
mean,
can promise whatever he wants. He's bringing animals in.
and-
Or can we get him to call in then?
yeah. I don't know if he He's not the kind of guy who has a phone.
Imagine trying to explain Skype to this man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he the kind of guy who has a dime? He could call in by payphone.
Oh, that's true. Maybe so. 10, 10, 220. He's the last person using that.
Tile down the middle and hope he's not in a knife fight. Spoiler alert, he is.
Can't talk right now. I'm in a knife fight.
I hope we can. I can do both. Roadkill know how to multitask.
Get back, Vulture.
They're all turning on me. One man stands alone.
This is the Alamo of buzzards.
Remember the parking lot of the CVS? Just punching birds.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So there was Roadkill. I swear to God, my hometown, when I come back and tell stories about it, is just like the most fucked up Lake Wobegon shit ever. But all of this shit is real. There's a guy named Pirate Larry, and Pirate Larry lives out in the country. And my buddy JR was telling me the story because he goes over. Pirate Larry's decided he doesn't want to leave his house anymore, so everybody comes over there to hang out and to party. And Pirate Larry doesn't want to go to bed, and so he just sits in this chair. And so the town has come together, and they're going to build him a chair with a harness so they can buckle him in when they leave the house at night. Because JR was going to check on Pirate Larry one morning, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I went up to the screen door, and the door was open, and there was just a puddle of blood on the floor." And I was like, "Oh, God damn it, Larry finally went and did it." And I look over, and he's in the chair, and his whole face is covered in blood, and it looked like he had blown his brains out from the back. And his face had flying off. And then he grumbles and goes, "Oh, who is that?" And I realized he was alive, and he had just fallen out of his chair onto his face, bled out everywhere, still had blood on his face, got back in the chair and went back to sleep. So it looked like the weirdest suicide ever, but he was fine.
The funniest part of that story to me is that Pirate Larry didn't want to go to bed. Yeah. Dang old Pirate Larry ain't got no bedtime. Pirate Larry, big boy.
Ain't no bed on the high seas.
Actually, there wasn't that much pirateness about Larry.
No, not really.
So why? I'm still trying to figure out why Pirate Larry's such a charismatic figure that people drive out to hang out with him.
Well, you never know when he might be dead. You know,
Yeah.
Be the guy who found the body. Rivers. I'm surprised you don't have PTSD from that last time.
No, it wasn't me. It was my buddy JR who found him. But
I feel like Pirate Larry for sure has cocaine too. Like,
yeah. He's a fun guy.
yeah, fun guys have coke.
Should introduce him to Roadkill.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure
They can hang out.
I feel like they don't like each other. That's the Tupac and Biggie of Auburn, Alabama.
Yes, totally. You stay on your side, I'll stay on my back.
You're working with them vultures.
Actually, one is a shut-in and the other is a wanderer, so they wouldn't ever get along anyway.
But what if he wandered into his house?
But I can imagine those two bonding over a balloon of Jenkum any day of the week. You know?
I can't.
Why do I call it waste? It's so productive.
Over the county, they come from the city, out here to Green Hill, driving like bastards, stomping the throttle, the bus to Green Hill, Grove out Roadkill, the bus to Green Hill, Grove out Roadkill, the bus to Green Hill, Grove out Roadkill.
I'd be remiss without mentioning it. What happened to your tooth? Good night.
Okay, I'm glad. So that's a new thing.
Yeah, that's new.
All right, because I saw it, I didn't want to say anything.
No, it's all right. It looks kind of good. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely on brand.
Everybody likes it, but I don't know. There is that whole problem of having to eat and everything. But have you ever heard of South of the Border?
Like Mexico?
Oh boy.
Oh.
No, in South Carolina.
Oh, you're gonna love this.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All
I
right.
have a bumper sticker if you want one.
Yeah.
I don't have a car, but sure.
No,
Do you have
so
a bicycle?
Look at me. No.
And why
You
would
could put it on the bus then.
There we go.
Have 5. They're 10 cents.
God damn it.
you're trying to pitch these bumper stickers?
I'm getting hustled merch in the middle of the podcast.
No, they're free. I paid 10 cents. That's why I'm going to have so damn many.
Wait, what?
You have 5.
Oh, so South of the Border. Pat, you're probably better at describing it.
South of the Border is like one of those places on the interstate where you see billboards for them.
tourist
for
trip.
like for 400 miles, and it's just like this very sort of non-politically correct caricature of a guy named
Pedro.
Yeah.
And just super sleepy in a sombrero. He's all sombrero. And it's just like
rap.
Yeah, and then it's just like we'll say stuff like miniature golf south of the border, pecan log south of the border, African art,
Africa shop.
Africa shop.
That is really upsetting because I don't want to know what it means.
No, there's cigarettes. There's a campground.
Yeah, so it's just basically
There's some sketchy things.
We got everything.
So-
Cigarettes outside.
So it's basic. So just to keep it on track, it's if Roadkill designed Disneyland. Like that's what it is. Like it's basically
It's like literally
it's a truck
It's
stop.
just south of the South Carolina border. You
Yeah.
can walk over to North
It's
Carolina.
I-95,
past the
yeah.
campground.
And it's just a truck stop with just a bunch of random stuff in it with a campground.
Well, it's all Mexican themed too, and they have like a bungee jumping tower that has a giant
sombrero on top. Yeah.
Yeah, and my favorite sign. There's one sign that just says "You never sausage a place," and it just has Pedro eating a giant sausage. And there's one that just randomly, and I think you can only see this one if you're coming from the New York side of 95. Just says "Shalom" south of the border.
It's great.
That feels like a
sticker.
trap.
It's like welcome Jews fleeing to Florida.
The bumper stickers are all over the East Coast.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you see, what the hell is south of the border?
Oh,
There's
the
even
billboards,
T-shirts that
yeah.
say that. No, the bumper stickers, the ones I have 10-cent ones.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to spread them on the West Coast now. But there's like kiddie things too, because there's like a statue of King Kong and
Oh,
things.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hope that's not in the African art show.
See, there's King Kong.
Why is he wearing a shirt? He's wearing a blue polo shirt. He looks like he's on the Nerd Squad.
He's
Well,
going.
because it's outside the T-shirt place.
He's going to golf. He's going to golf at Augusta.
Yeah.
It's comfortable too. See, they have a great white shark inside and all that.
I mean, that is a great white shark.
They have. Oh, this was on the toilet. Nick Meemack was here, Southern Tour 16. So he wrote his name
Good for you, Nick Meemack.
on the toilet in south of the border.
And don't they have one where it's like 18-foot alligator and that's the entire
Here's the
time?
alligator, and he looks like a bad guy from what is the thing with Donkey Kong Country?
Yeah, it looks like
throwing the
something out of
dynamite.
Battletoads or
wait,
whatever.
Yeah.
What happened to your tooth though?
Oh, don't try the honey straws because
Well, that's better than the other option, which I thought you were going to say fist fight with a lot lizard or something.
You described all these dangerous things that would have been great ways to lose a tooth that ended with, I ate a snack pad. Like,
well, none of that's just going to fuck with me. You understand? I ain't afraid of no alligators, no King Kong, none of this stuff.
holy damn it.
But they had these honey straws, and it was only 20 cents. And I thought, oh, honey, that'll be sweet like the Berenstain Bears. But no, it rips your tooth out when you try to bite these things open. I was like, well, I lost my tooth at south of the border. Where do I go from here in life?
If it makes you feel any better, I lost half a tooth in Fresno, California recently.
Oh, where were you?
I was up there doing some shows, and I was getting ready for the show that night, and I'm like getting showered up, getting clean. I was brushing my teeth, and then half my fucking tooth fell off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I accomplished something where I lost my tooth. I'm sorry, but that
Mine was I was actively maintaining my teeth,
Yeah.
and that was the price I paid. And I was up there with Connor McSpadden and Tom Goss, and I was just like, "What do I do?" And they're like, "We don't know." So I just had to have half a tooth for a while.
Which one was it?
It's the one that's not there anymore in the back.
Oh, in the back. See, I got all this, but see, right up front, that's the thing.
I mean,
This is
yeah, mine's far enough back that I can pretend I'm not disgusting. It's an awesome situation.
I still
going on
look
with the
great
teeth.
though, because I had a rented Charger, so it didn't matter how many or how few teeth I had because I had a car.
I don't have either.
Hey, you were just down in Atlanta, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't lose any teeth.
No.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no, it was I hit all the Atlanta thing. I went to Homegrown, which was
yeah.
fantastic, and just hung out with it was for a bachelor party that was probably the least scandalous bachelor party ever,
Oh, did you guys not put the lamp on your head?
Just knocking over O'Douls.
Yeah, we're just knocking over O'Douls and
Brad's getting married, I guess.
yeah. All right, get the funnel, get the O'Douls out. We're living large George. We're letting loose. Damn the torpedoes. No, but yeah, it was cool.
One of the problems of living in a college town too long is like when the beer funnel just becomes utilitarian. Like it's not about fun anymore. It's like how much booze can I get in my system? Like there was this period. It's synced up nicely with the rise of Four Loko, where
that's my favorite of the G.I. Joe films.
rise of Four Loko. Cobra Commander's no match for a watermelon punch.
Yeah,
that's his finishing move.
But yeah, there was a time there where when Four Loko was still holding sway over the southeast like a fucking plague. But there was a funnel just introduced into the casual drinking of my friend group where they would just pour a whole beer in the funnel and then just be talking like, take it down. But anyway, I mean,
that's how you drink a beer.
Yeah, for real. And there was no like chanting. If you're not chanting, then the funnel's just sad.
Well, it's like when you see somebody that's a big time pothead and they're doing like a bong where they're just doing their taxes online. And shit. Like,
What's up, man? Could have declared dependence.
Yeah.
Have you seen my 1099?
I see. It was the opposite with what I saw because I would go visit my friends over at UCF because it wasn't much of a pot school. So all the energy that they would put on building like gigantic gravity bongs, they put into beer funnels. So you would just see these like 8-headed beer funnels with like an entire like box of Franzia in it.
Christ.
Like that safety valves on them. It was just like, and they'd be like 3 stories high, so they would get on the roof of the house and pour.
It's like you got one mouth. Like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
well, no, that way it's like pigs on the teats and everybody can have some beer.
Yeah.
It feels like something at like the Wonka factory for problem drunks.
Oh no, yeah. It was just this like, it would just be a group of people, like group of kids that like rented some McMansion, and then this McMansion just has a big beer funnel that permanently hangs off.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with shotgunning a beer too, where again that's like a fun activity, but then there is a point where somebody gets it down to where they know exactly where the air bubble is, and they can just like no ceremony, just like. So yeah, I mean she hadn't called me back, but. Anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, I don't know why she thinks I have a drinking problem. Clang.
She's so full of shit.
One time at Rose Battle, somebody was going up, and their plan was to like shotgun a beer and prove they were like a cool crazy guy before the fight started. And it was like they expected, because they were talking to me before. They're like, "I'm gonna go up there and do that," and people were gonna be like, "Whoa!" And instead, they went up and did it to just abject silence.
Yeah.
I've never seen a shotgunning look like it took so long.
That only works if you're famous.
And he finished, and then Brian Moses just goes, "Well, all right."
Was that it? Did you do that instead of writing?
Yeah, and yes is the answer to that question. Put a lot of work into the beer.
Yeah. That's only gonna work if people know you from TV, and even then,
maybe.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things like when you watch like Def Comedy Jam, whenever they have the bad Def Comedy Jam crowds, where somebody comes out with the big line like, "Oh, this is gonna win them over," and it's like, "How many of y'all like sex?" And it's just like silence,
Y'all be fucking? No? Oh no! This ain't gonna be relatable content.
You guys been to the zoo? Huh?
Y'all motherfuckers like smiling. Meet me halfway. Hamburger.
Hamburger.
I've been debating how much it would cost to hire Hamburger Jones to just show up and do a dumb thing. I feel like I can get him to come record my podcast for like $1,000.
Probably so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would just be
My favorite hamburger thing was, I think it was like, I saw like one thing online where he was like performing. I don't know if it was a Def Comedy Jam. He was like doing the thing where he roasts people in the crowd, and he's just like, "See this motherfucker over here? He's fat. Hamburger." It's just
We're not all going to be winners. Hamburger.
no, it's an observation, and he's just like, "Let's punch this up." Hamburger.
I just like the idea of him workshopping at a mic, just like, "All right, go to the notebook." Y'all ever notice women be shopping? Hamburger. Is it cheeseburger or hamburger? I don't know. I gotta keep working on it.
Let's see. Yo, that blender sucks. Hamburger. How many of y'all on Tinder?
Whataburger. I mean, shit, hamburger.
Hamburger.
Hamburger. Joker, what in the world you dressed up for Halloween? Like a hamburger on the delivered mail or something. What's up with you? You overweight, that's your problem. Can't you take a joke? I know you take an order of fries right by now, couldn't you? Hamburger.
And when you give me your house, when we're all brothers at last, there will be food in our mouths, there will be teeth in the grass, 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 there will be teeth in the grass.
If you could get a catchphrase over, good night. What would yours be?
If
Well, I
anybody
don't
could pull
need
it.
catchphrase.
You are a catchphrase.
Exactly.
But
I
if-
never use catchphrases.
No, but Ike, if you could just will one into existence and get people to be super into it.
If I could, I would have willed it into existence, and I've been doing it, and I'd have lots of money.
It's a fair point.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Honey Straw done took my tooth.
Oh, it's gonna be money from here on out.
It's the money
Money
straw.
straw done took my tooth. You understand?
Oh fuck, we need to make that into a shirt.
We do,
If
and
you-
people need to buy it.
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say, if you-
I need the money.
Yeah, if you
I
buy
need
a,
dental work, obviously.
yeah, do a Kickstarter. That's the reward you get
I don't know.
out.
I think you just need one more honey straw. And that'll take care of it.
Well, how many do I have left? I could just get rid of all my teeth. I'd look like Popeye with a mustache or something.
Oh man.
And my forearms are big too. You understand? Because I work out. You understand?
Yeah, no, the one I've been trying for years to get over is the Kenny Loggins story. Like I went out to see Kenny Loggins at Pappy and Harriet's.
Was he opening for Caius?
No, he was opening for a vision of a Native American from Jim Morrison's fucking Unconscious. That was where they filmed all that shit. Was out of Joshua Tree.
The movie The Doors.
Yeah, The Doors. Yeah, that's where. Yeah, like Joshua Tree.
You know what my favorite part of The Doors is? Remember when
The
they're
knobs. That was fucking so dumb, and I can't believe it worked.
Top notch.
Just leave it
Top
at
notch.
that. I like that better.
I want to know.
What of The Doors?
Yeah.
Or so they're working on Light My Fire, right?
Yes.
and they're working on it. And you know, Robbie Krieger, I think, writes it, or and he's doing the chords.
Yeah.
And then they go outside on the beach, and Ray Manzarek's like, all right, you guys, I'm going outside. I'm going to work on the intro for a minute. And he goes, Dean it. Guys, I think I have something up here.
They do the same scene in Straight Outta Compton.
I fucking hated that so much.
where Dr. Dre is sitting there and he's just like, hold on, let me get it. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Nope. I was like, that's from the Doors movie.
The only good thing about that
It's a
scene is I
homage.
saw that movie in Long Beach.
Oh, yeah.
And fucking like when Snoop came out, it was like being at Comic-Con and seeing Nick Fury come out as Iron Man. It's like, whoa!
My favorite thing about the Doors movie is when just Billy Idol is there randomly.
Best part of the Wedding Singer, too.
No, it's just but it's like
Billy
so
Idol makes everything better.
anachronistic. Because like Billy Idol's just like, well, how old was he? Probably at the time 10. But it was just a fully adult Billy Idol, just being like, yeah, bleh, just like in full Billy Idol mode. Like there's all these people like doing the whole hippie thing, and it's just like, oh, there's this new wave punk just hanging out there, just covered in women.
Oh, well, he showed up and they were like, all right, so we've got your wig. He's like, fuck no.
Yeah, no.
Not on my
Not gonna happen.
not my white spikes.
Oh, Billy Idol.
I did the version of LA Woman for the soundtrack. I get to be myself in it.
I don't wear a tunic.
Yeah.
Billy Idol's a Time Lord.
He is in Wedding Singer too, and he's
Yeah, but that's in the time though.
no, but
yeah.
he's old Billy Idol.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to be
yeah.
in the
That's
80s,
true.
but he's like 50 in The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't make no sense. But yeah, he is the
Just
time.
keep casting him in shit inexplicably.
But yeah, no, I was out in the out of Joshua Tree. They have the Pappy and Harriet's is a bar out there that's
Okay.
like co-owned by Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. So they get like kind of like unreasonably good bands to play out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And we saw, or I say we, and by we I mean I, because no one wanted. No, apparently I'm the only patriot in Los Angeles. No one wanted to go see Kenny Loggins in the desert with me. But
I had something else to do because I would love to see the log at Pappy and Harriet's.
I already have, but I ain't never seen Kenny Loggins there.
That's it. That sounds like a euphemism for something. Like, man, we're going to see Kenny Loggins in the desert, if you know what I mean.
we're gonna eat some really weird drugs.
Yeah, no. We're gonna drink so much wine Zinfandel and go on a
We're going fucking spirit, soul first into the danger zone.
Oh Jesus! But yeah, he was playing out there with his new country band because at the time, for whatever reason,
no.
at the age of like 60, fucking Kenny Loggins decided to start a country band with like a real, they had mandolins and shit. So they came out.
Did he perform a roots version of
Everything.
the theme from Pooh Corner?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he did all of that shit. To his credit, like
Loggins rules.
He doesn't not roll.
Yeah, no. To his credit, the new band or whatever it was called, I think they were called like the Blue Sky Riders. And
Oh, the guys that work for John Fogerty.
yeah. And I went and found their their CD at the merch table and looked at it before the show started because I was like, I just hope this isn't like some fucking double album. I was like, all right, it's 10 songs. This is the first album. They'll play the whole first album and then they'll do the hits. And to their credit, that's exactly how they played it. They played just the whole album straight through, 10 songs.
Loggins is a professional, man.
Yeah, and then
He knows what you came for.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. He came out with, I thought maybe he was going to have like electric instruments. No. Banjos, mandolins, all that shit. Highway to the Danger Zone, Country Fried, fucking.
What instrument did they use for boom, 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 boom? Did they use like a mandolin or something?
Yeah. The mandolin was just kind of keeping time. They didn't do Footloose, man. That was the one. I was like, what the fuck?
That's like the one. That's like the big one.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Danger Zone and Footloose. You got to play both.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did House on Pooh Corner. They did Even Though We Ain't Got Money. And
They did House on Pooh Corner?
yeah.
Did he perform any Loggins and Messina jams?
He did the.
Your mama can't dance and your daddy don't rock. Which I've got like I have a theory that by law they have to play that song at every car dealership every time you go to it. I swear to God, every
That's
time.
that version of the little ringy bell when you walk in.
Yeah. In the same way that you have to hear Deep Blue Something's Breakfast at Tiffany every time you walk into a Ralph's, you have to hear.
God damn it, that's so accurate.
And it's so hideous.
Yeah, he played all that shit. He played Watching the River Run. That was the big Loggins and Messina one he played, and then he did,
which was very nice of them, considering Jim Messina is bussing tables at that time. So
yeah, he was the barmaid at the bar inside. But anyway, there was a guy out there because I didn't have any company. I went by myself on this expedition, so I was just kind of wandering around, and this guy was there, and he goes, he was like, oh, I know Kenny a little bit. I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah. We grew up together in Santa Barbara. Used to watch him play guitar for all the girls at the fishing hole. And I'm like, I've been to Santa Barbara. There's no fucking fishing hole.
No, that is not a fishing hole.
It's sheer cliffs to waves.
Yeah.
There's no fishing hole in Santa Barbara.
that's a euphemism.
Yeah.
Fishing hole is what we call Kenny's basement.
But he goes, yeah, down at the fishing hole in Santa Barbara. And I was like, yeah, does he remember you? Like, are you guys going to hang out after the show? Because I was trying to I was like, man, I can hang out with Kenny Loggins. That'd be funny. And he was like, I'm going to glom onto this psychopath. And he goes, I was like, are you guys going to hang out on the show? Is he going to remember you? And he's like, I don't know if he'll remember me. He will, though. He definitely will. And all I could think was like, oh boy, Kenny Loggins is going to get murder fucked in the desert tonight. So to go back to the original point, if I could get any slogan over on a t-shirt, if I could sell a Austin 316 level of Kenny Loggins is going to get murder fucked in the desert tonight t-shirts, my life would be a success. I could chalk it up to a win.
That really rolls off the tongue,
That was
too.
such a long road. Do a catchphrase that makes no sense.
Well, you know.
I would have just went with I saw Kenny at the fishing hole.
I saw Kenny at the.
I like the fact I know Kenny, by the way, Loggins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him over at the fishing hole. He played guitar for the girls, you know.
Well, it was just the line. Does he remember you? I don't know. I'm gonna find out though.
Yeah.
That is said shortly before somebody carves you with a
I was
switchblade.
gonna say he just puts a knife in his mouth and scuttles over the fence. Like, nah.
And they're like,
See
wait
you
a
in the
minute.
papers, boys.
Wait a minute. Is that a buzzer? Roadkill. Deep cover roadkill.
And it's all because your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. When evening rolls around and it's time to go to town, where do you go? To rock and roll. Where do you go? To rock and roll.
So we were talking off air about the Roadkill Cafe concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
And surprisingly, I had to convince Mr. Goodnight that it would be cool to eat like an armadillo or whatever. he was very like, I wouldn't eat nothing got killed by a truck. And I was like, yeah, but like, what if you weren't going to be able to eat one again?
And we'll say I didn't know it was going to be exotic animals like that.
Well,
I thought it was going to be
assumed.
like squished possum and things like
Well,
that.
hang on. I would count possum as one of those.
Well,
How
no,
often have you eaten possum?
Well, I actually don't know if I ate it or not because somebody told me it was possum, but I've never known.
I would imagine. Why wouldn't it be?
What was the scenario?
It was at a reenactment. Somebody gave me this. They said it was a possum meat sandwich. And it was just kind of white meat that I never had before.
I need to know everything.
That's really all there was.
Where was the reenact? What battle?
No, it was an encampment. It wasn't a
Reenactment of that Tom Dave ate a possum sandwich.
We do this every year.
That's
Where was it?
Massachusetts.
between the bread.
Or maybe, no, I think it was that one in Rhode Island. The place that Burnside himself used to own. It's called there's a replica of the bridge.
Okay.
From
Owl Creek.
No,
Is this
the one from Antietam.
Oh, okay.
I like to imagine this is like a private residence where it's just like, it just so happens there's a bunch of you guys eating possum camped out in the front yard.
Possum acres.
Yeah.
But anyway, point is somebody said I was hungry, so I was like, I want some of the sandwich. What is it? This is possum. And so I ate some. And I was like, well, it's some kind of funny taste. And I don't think anybody makes a cold chicken sandwich like this with a little bit of gravy on it. So I just had the possum sandwich. Possibly possum sandwich.
Possibly.
And, it was all right, but I wouldn't want to eat one that was squished by a car.
But you were offered possum, and you were like, "Oh, I'm going to eat possum because it's in front of me." Well,
it wasn't run over by anything. It was in bread.
That's Kathy Griffin's new sitcom, by the way. Suddenly Susan, possibly possum.
I figured I was being ribbed.
I just want to point out that your logic for, well, it definitely wasn't run over because it was in bread.
Well, no, because it wasn't squished like it had been run over. It was a thick piece of meat, like a possum pork chop or something like that.
What the fuck are you talking about?
This sandwich, this possum sandwich.
That makes negative sense.
No, it was a possum sandwich. And it was these little bits of this meat that was white. Consistency slightly like a smaller pork chop or something like that. And I thought I was being ribbed because I didn't think that it was actually a possum.
Wait, so you think when something gets run over, it just becomes completely flat like a Roadrunner cartoon?
Oh no, I've seen possums and things that's been run over by like trucks and shit, especially if they've been sitting there and that's like goo. I mean, it looks like bubble gum with hair and things. It's disgusting.
Oh my God.
That's why I won't eat roadkill. You understand? But I will possibly eat possible possum meat in a sandwich at a reenactment because I like to live life to the fullest.
Oh my God.
The question I was going to pose.
Carey was the name of the fella gave it to me. Nice guy.
What was his name?
Terry.
Oh, I thought you said Carey.
Makes
I thought you
sense.
said Carrion. I was like, what a perfect name for him. And it distributes
a little
roadkill.
vulture came down in a Confederate uniform.
He targeted your ass. He targeted your ass while you were on campaign.
Look at this. Roadkill might have been in my life, and I didn't even know it that early on.
He's the mischief god that's in everybody's life.
He really is. Quite the prankster. Making people eat possibly possum shit that's been run over by a truck, but looks like a possible possum pork chop.
You are turning into Yosemite Sam.
Is that a bad thing?
I didn't say it was.
Or is it really an apotheosis at this point? I'll take that Bugs Bunny money if them Warner Brothers is listening
Dude,
now.
there's your catchphrase.
I'll take that Bugs Bunny money.
Bugs Bunny money. You got one of those rapping like Bugs Bunnies like you see on white trash shirts.
The full size.
Yeah, those were so cool.
Yeah.
Where they had their pants on backward like they wasn't crisscross.
Yeah, and then on the other side, it's yeah.
Chaz would be there with them, even though they're usually not friends, but they're friends today.
They're friends on the shirt.
They're wearing backwards clothes. That's why.
Yeah.
They're backwards Warner Brothers jerseys.
It's opposite day.
I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm. This is the only time I've ever had fun doing a podcast.
I try to be there for people.
Oh god. So what were
Oh man, it's like at this point it almost.
I have to know now.
So it's a question of would you eat this meat? So I did a show for Fat Mike from NoFX. He had a birthday party at a BDSM dungeon by the airport.
all that's right on brand for no effects.
Yeah, amazing sense. And like we're doing stand up, but it was fine. There were like weird live like performers scheduled after. And
Was this by LAX?
Yeah.
I don't know where it is, but that seems apropos. That usually, like when it's one of those BZSM dungeons, it's in like some industrial park somewhere. Where it's just like,
it's got to be an airport so you can make a quick getaway.
It looked like a place you wouldn't want to be naked, but everybody was really naked.
Yeah, there was like a place in Atlanta called the Compound that was like that. It was like it just looked like a big airplane hangar, and it was just like people that were suspended on things, and it's
yeah,
just
it was
like,
a lot of that shit. But so we were there and we were watching all the people like do like the stuff, and there was some pretty crazy stuff. I can't talk too much about what actually happened in the room that night.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I was there and with a friend, and we like freaked out because we were like, "This is a lot." And we went outside and we were talking to somebody else, and we were like, "That's the craziest shit we've ever seen." And they were like, "Dude, watch the video from what we did last night." And I swear to God, this is true. They showed me a video. It's from in this club, and it's a lady, and this is all consensual.
Yeah,
mind you.
okay.
It's a lady, and she's strapped to a table. And then a guy goes over to her, and he has like a scalpel, and he cuts like a chunk of her fucking leg.
Oh,
like
God,
about the diameter of a deck of playing cards. Like, thinner. And then he's got this chafing dish on stage.
No!
And he starts like seasoning up, and then he eats the fucking lady's leg, and he feeds it to her.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Well, and I found out apparently that's like a thing that they do. Like that's like her total thing. Like a few times a year.
Western civilization is officially dead.
But here's my question, and I posit this to everybody. You're in that situation. They offer you a bite of people meat. Do you take the bite of people meat?
No, I don't eat people.
Yeah, I don't eat people generally.
Not even in a shipwreck and things like that.
Yeah, but this is not a ship. This is somebody if nothing else, you're being rude. Like,
listen, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in a fuck dungeon, eat a leg.
The Romans did not eat people.
I mean, they probably did. Like,
no, it was not part of their thing. You never hear about the Romans eating people. If anybody knows an incident of the Romans eating people, at least the good Romans, the traditional Roman values of the Republic.
Make Rome great again. Yeah, I get it.
If something like that happened in the Empire, it was probably the result of some kind of weird foreign influences or something like that.
Damn Visigoths with their weird goth parties.
I wait a text from @Gabriel Rossman to set us straight about that.
Yeah, let us know if the Romans ate people. I know of some things about the Persians making people eat people and things like that in Greek history, but the Romans, I don't believe, were too big on eating people.
Here's my answer to that. If it was in a survival situation, I would have no compunction about eating people at all. But, if it's weird that like you like eat somebody and then later you're like, so what are you doing later?
Yeah, like
but it's you're in a venue where it's not like if you say no, there isn't going to be a receptive audience of people that are just like, I'll take it,
True.
It's not like it's going to go to waste. It's not like it's going to
yeah.
sit there like, you know.
And frankly, I'm using this logic to try and convince you guys because I 100% would eat the meat. I have no compunction about that. That's insane.
all right.
No, I don't eat people.
No, but what was scary is I was talking to these people afterwards, and they're like, "Yeah, we just have like some meat in the freezer." I'm like, "Where'd you get it?" And they're like, "Don't worry about it." And I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go." These are like straight up cannibals. And then I realized you never feel as fat as you do when you realize you're talking to cannibals. 'Cause now I'm like, "Oh shit, we're on a desert island, and I am turning into a cartoon turkey."
Yeah.
Is it just me or is this jacuzzi getting real hot?
And honestly, they were hot enough where I was like, "Yeah, maybe." Like,
Jacuzzi getting real hot, and the guy's putting in like the carrots.
Yeah.
what do I really need 10 toes for if we get right down to
Why are all these onions in this jacuzzi?
But here's the thing about cannibalism.
with the loofahs?
Here's my objection to this kind of fetish cannibalism. All right?
What a weird thing for you to take such a hardline stance
Well, no,
on.
because there's some people that do cannibalism, like some kind of the Indians that lived in Caribbean and things like this in some places. But cannibalism isn't about eating people for food. It's about eating people to gain ritual magic or powers or something like that. Eating just pieces of people.
So your
is a
problem is
fetish.
there's not enough voodoo involved.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. But people just eating people.
Well,
I
it
mean,
goes back to the funnel thing. There needs to be chanting. You know?
I mean, I would chant.
Okay. If there's no chanting, it's
I
not a
chant.
party.
That's fucked up. Like that's. Man, I thought I would get some support on this, but I feel like I'm alone on the people eating.
No, I mean, if you do it, I mean, I don't care. But,
Thank
so
you, Mr.
don't
Goodnight.
worry, I won't be the avenger of like the eating people or something like that.
I want to be clear. I'm not seeking this out.
But I'm just saying, I wouldn't eat people. Yuck. I'm a picky eater to begin with.
What if it's in a sandwich and you're at a Civil War reenactment?
Hey, if I don't know it was people, I don't care. But I'm not going to consciously do
I feel
it.
like you're gonna care when they tell you later.
No, because now that I think about it, maybe that wasn't possum after all.
Oh,
but
God.
if it was possibly people sandwich, I don't really care.
I'm just picturing you running around a Civil War battlefield. These dang old people! Like in Soylent Greenville.
People, damn it. Silent Green is people.
You're really good, Charlton.
Oh, I really like Charlton.
Oh, my God.
You blew it up.
You maniacs. You blew it. God damn you.
Here's the edited version.
Damn you all to hell.
I love that movie.
That movie rules.
Omega Man. I love that movie.
Oh, the Omega Man's so good.
That's my favorite movie. I've seen it literally thousands of times.
Yeah, no, literally.
You won't eat people.
Well, if it's Soylent Green, I'd take a taste. I'll admit that.
His love, Mr. Goodnight's love of Omega Man is always evident because whenever I'd pick him up and we drive by Century City, he'd be like, I feel like I'm in the Omega Man.
That's true. Yeah. I've seen places. Actually, you know, when you all were doing the Yellowhammered, not too far from there was that little movie theater. I think it's on 8th Street that he goes in at the beginning of,
Oh,
but
that's
it's still
right.
there closed up.
Yeah.
And that water and power building that he stands outside of and yells to there, "Hey, Matthias!" And it echoes to the entire city. That's still there. But a lot of it was on a lot, like his house and things
Yeah,
like
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah. Damn, you could do the if
Omega Man tour. I really could.
Yeah.
My own personal Omega Man tour. I just break into some place and steal a car.
Yeah.
It's like the Omega Man.
How much in trade for my Ford? Cheating
The Omega Man tour, or as it's known to the LAPD, a crime spree.
Hold on, I'm shooting in random windows and things like that.
I'm not a criminal, it's a reenactment.
Hey, I've used that one before. I tried to burn a lot of shit in Georgia one time. And I said, man, do you want authenticity in this reenactment of what?
Hang on. I'm going to the sea. Okay, watch me march.
Can y'all give me a ride to Savannah? I'll just drop matches out the highway window. You know, I have a problem with Sherman, and that's that he didn't go far enough. Sheridan is my kind of general because he was like,
You mean into the ocean? Like he was just...
no, I would have cut. I mean, he only did like how many miles of destruction did he do? He didn't hang everybody of military age. He could have. He didn't like form the slaves into giant armies and have them attack cities and things like that. He could have. That would have been real destruction. So he was kind of a halfway kind of guy, really, in my book. Just saying. I mean, would Genghis Khan, what would he have done?
Yeah.
That's what you have to ask yourself. What would Genghis Khan do?
Again, we're just spitting out catchphrases all over the place. WWGKD.
I know. We have to get a Cafe Press for this episode alone account. Make all the shirts and women's drawers and things like that.
Yeah, because that's what broads like. So
What would Genghis Khan do? Hey, remember, it's not Genghis Khan, but Attila the Hun died on his wedding night of a nosebleed. Because it wasn't, he hemorrhaged to death through a severe nosebleed.
He just had a nosebleed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he died. Yeah, Attila the Hun, not Genghis Khan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now you do, and no one's half the battle.
Now there's a catch.
That's G.I. Joe. I took that.
G.I. for Loco.
Y'all are too young for that one, but that was hot shit when I was a kid, man. I learned most of the things I learned about life either from the G.I. Joe comic book,
Nothing's ever made more sense.
or wrestling, or Civil War reenactments. and
Never
things,
mind, those things made more sense.
So now, you know, I know how to look at the world. I got nothing. No, but we've had fun tonight. That's what I like. We've really had a lot of fun. And every time fun can reign, that's when you know it's been like a good night. And that's my name, I just realized. So.
Oh, my
Wow,
God.
I'm really on a roll, and I don't even know it. Wow.
Damn.
I'm going to have to drink this lemon and lime seltzer water thing more often because apparently it's...
Throw some LaCroix on me, Daddy. I'm too hot.
Yeah, I'm on fire, and I need LaCroix to put out the passion in my... Actually, LaCroix can't stop the passion, you understand? It's the love that moves the sun and the other stars, to quote Dante. Understand?
So just to be clear, you're just like a person who gets to just be around in the world.
Yeah, I know. See, that's why if I'm smart about one thing, which might not be that many things, I think it's that, is that I just do stupid things like this all the time. And yet everybody thinks like, wow, that's Mr. Goodnight. That must be Mr. Goodnight and all that. I'm just kind of acting stupid and doing whatever the hell I want. And yet people think I'm up to something. I hope I haven't given away the secret here.
I thought
This gets me further in life than anything I've ever done for money.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, live like a piece of shit and do it like a champion.
Exactly, because I live like a champion every day. And if you're only good at one thing, and that one thing you're good at is being a piece of shit, well then, brother, that's my talent, you understand? Like in that movie Boogie Nights, you understand, in which I had a bit part. I don't like to call it a bit part, but an uncredited part at the end, you understand? Which I never talked about because I didn't want my mother to know that I did that in the movie, but that is me. But that's
hang on. Who is you?
At the end of the movie, I don't want in case my mama hears this.
Are you the stunt dick?
Body double is what it's called in the industry, sir.
Because I always thought that you and Mark Wahlberg had similar lower halves.
Well, you know, people don't know how much they could do with the computers even back then because they called up George Lucas and all that because they were like, we like that stomach, but we really need what's downstairs. You understand?
We're calling up ILM, Industrial Light, and Mr. Goodnight.
See, now it may have been special effects. That might have been his abs, but what you see down there, that's all good night. You understand?
That was a very good night from what I remember.
No, it was. But, like I say, everybody's got one talent, and apparently I have two. Because not just being a piece of shit, but also my acting.
Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You shouldn't use the Lord's name in vain. He died for you on a cross, man. That hurts a hell of a lot more than getting salt in your hand or something like that from a bug gun. His pain, your gain.
It's amazing. So the thing is,
dude, I would so be a Christian if this is what Christianity was.
See, the thing
maybe I
that
should do that. I should be a preacher.
Dude, you would be the dopest preacher.
I know. Let's cut that part out so when I do it, nobody will know. I don't want any proof. Like Lee Harvey. What's his name? Who did Scientology?
Lee Harvey.
L. Ron
Hubbard, that guy, the
Lee Harvey
Osborne.
What's the difference?
That's a badass metal band. Lee Harvey Osborne opening up for Marilyn Manson.
What did you say, Pat?
The thing that I like
You're thinking of L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
is that
I forget the name. It's a guy from Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Keith Carey is incredibly quick, and you have decimated him.
Oh, that's just because I'm really
He's just
stoned.
aghast.
I have never been so flummoxed.
Oh, no,
and you gotta understand, I don't know if you guys listen to my podcast. We have our own insane person who hangs out in the corner and is just lunacy. So I thought I had been trained. I was not.
Well, no, Keith quick, you
I
understand.
need to put
but-
you and Tom Goss in a room together.
But, I'm just really stoned, and when things like possum meat and the Civil War come up, it's reflex only.
I can't imagine any time you're in a room and they don't.
That's why I try to bring them up. You understand? Put this on a T-shirt. If it ain't about the Civil War possum meat, then forget it, brother.
It's a big shirt.
Well, it's a big dog, large size. Something like that. Or you could put it on the back or something.
It says read back continued.
Yeah, to be continued on back or something like that.
Chapter 2 of the shirt.
Yeah, and if it really wants to be historically accurate, it could have footnotes or something like that.
You cannot annotate your T-shirt.
I was riding down the road one day, someone hit a possum. I was riding down the road one day, someone hit a possum. The road was his end, 'cause that was that road, so they say. Oh,
Keith, tell us about your podcast.
Oh yeah, the Mean Boys podcast is I don't know how to think anymore. Mean Boys podcast. Every week we bring in a comedian. We do it's a scripted comedy podcast. So we do games, we do bits, monologue, jokes, sketches, all kinds of stuff. It's me, Connor McSpadden, been one of the mothers from the Roast Battle TV show.
Yes,
and then our buddy Tom Goss is sort of a semi-regular fixture. Tom Goss is just Mr. Goodnight from north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Okay,
it's check it out if you haven't heard of it.
And Roast Battle, you tell us about that?
Yeah, it happened. It happened? Yeah.
Is it coming back? They're doing more, right?
We don't know.
Okay.
I'm doing more at the Comedy Store.
Well,
But
that's
I mean,
what I meant.
okay. So I'm not. I one thing that's been good about Roast Battle is it's been an avenue for some really great folks to really kind of express themselves and get recognized, and Keith is one of them.
Thanks, man.
Alex and Anna Valenzuela and all those people. It's like working your ways through the respective bar show, open mic filter is always like.
Yeah.
It's tough, and then it provided some sort of opportunity for y'all, especially to.
Yeah, it was cool to just have like a little like a door open, and it was like, okay, fuck, I have like one skill, I can slide through that door, and it's I've gotten to do a lot of other cool stuff because of that. So
I love the burn booth things
thanks,
that you and
man.
Connor put up on your on the Facebook in there.
Yeah, we go out in public and just set up a little like cardboard box and then just roast people on the streets.
It's fucking perfect,
and they love it. They volunteer for it. Like I was worried we were gonna hurt people's feelings, but they're all super.
Have you ever had anybody where it's gone the opposite, where it's just been a very bad reaction?
Yes,
that's what I was getting to. I wanted to hear some bad stuff.
So
about it.
surprisingly, not very often.
Yeah.
Because we learned after like the first one, like how to like tone it down to a acceptable level.
Yeah.
Well, because we were going like hard the first time. It was like, oh, we're bumming people out.
Right. Well, and for those listening who haven't seen it, like you said, like you guys literally go down to like, is it like Long Beach Harbor? Or?
Yeah, we've done it like in just at the beach, like Newport and Long Beach, and then we did Comic-Con, we did the Long Beach Zombie Walk.
Man, it's so funny, and they literally set up a booth where people come up and I guess give the approval to be on camera.
Yeah, they all sign forms,
and then
we
you
explain
guys
what it
just
is.
shit on them, and it's like
we interview them first, and we kind of get to know them, and then we just write
so
burns for them on the spot, and just see how far we can go.
So damn funny.
Connor made a girl cry once. I believe he said her stomach looked like a camel eating a muffin.
Oh God!
To be fair, it did not look like that. Like if you're gonna wear half a shirt, you're gonna deal with some repercussions. I know what my body looks like, and that's why I wear all the shirt.
100% shirt.
No, I felt bad about that though, and then just a lot of some frowning and walking away. We got yelled at by a homeless lady filming the last one.
God.
Yeah, her name was like Lady Ducky or something. But she had issues with us. I'm like, all right, well.
Man, if she and Roadkill could just Get together.
Oh man, that's a power couple right there.
Yeah. That's the next Benifer. Is that still a reference?
Yeah, sure. Why
I'm
not?
1,000 years old.
That's the next Anthropatra.
Is that Mark Anthony and Cleopatra?
Yeah, that's a 1,000-year-old power couple for you.
I would have gone with Cleopanthony, but
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, you're better at this.
Anthropantra sounds like
It sounds like a dinosaur.
sounds like they opened for Kenny Loggins at that
what I
weird
was gonna
fucking
say.
nightmare bar.
Yeah. They're now opening for what's left of Yes.
They're called Maybe.
Anthropatra, Yes, and Maybe. Tonight at the Orange County Observatory.
The side room, not the good one.
Yeah, not the good one. The little room. They're doing their little King Arthur play in the middle of the show.
God, Yes is stupid.
Yes is amazing.
Nah, though.
No, they're so amazing.
Hold on. I'll be the judge of this. Which one did Tarkus? Was that them?
No, it's Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think they
No,
probably sucked then.
like seriously, like it's all about Rick Wakeman and Yes. It's so hilarious. Like, he had an album. This guy.
Was he Tales of Topographic Oceans?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, he did the one that was the Knights and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And the Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table.
It's what the new Transformers is based on.
Yeah, sure. And like this dude had the vision to realize where it's like, no, I can't turn this into an arena show and really encapsulate the experience of this album. So he went to various large ice rinks and had a ice show, just like so bootleg.
Hey man, what's more rock and roll than ice skating?
Literally anything.
So it's just like essentially those dragons from Chinese New Year, but it's just like two people on ice skates going around and some guy like just waving a sword on ice skates, or some guy in a wizard's cape dressed like Merlin's like.
I want to punch everything you just said in the face.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Hey, man, I like my scotch like I like my Rick Wakeman on ice.
Yeah.
And the list of things that rock the least are number 1, ice shows. Number 2, going to school.
Yeah.
Number 3, Chinese New Year.
I don't know, man. There's firecrackers.
No, so
Firecrackers on regular New Year.
no,
Oh, that's the one that we forgot, by the way, about south of the border. Firecrackers.
yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely. The other thing,
I assumed.
The other thing that's absolutely rad about Rick Wakeman is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's the first rock musician to perform in Cuba.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So
Did he sing Guantanamera?
So he was on. I read this article about it, and apparently he was dressed like a wizard and had a keytar, and there's 40,000 Cubans going completely nuts.
Ladies and gentlemen of Cuba, please welcome C.
Oh God.
Oh, man, maybe being behind the Iron Curtain wasn't that bad.
Oh, we got to end it on C. Keith, where can people find you on the internet, sir?
Find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything at Keith Tells Jokes. Check out the Burn Booth on Facebook and
Yes.
YouTube. Check out the Mean Boys podcast on iTunes. If you're in the LA area, come out May 23rd to the Comedy Store and watch me battle for the roast battle title against Eli Sayers from New York.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and then
East
May
Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, and then May 30th next week, I'm fighting Conor McSpadden. So come to either of those.
Ooh,
Yeah.
a real civil war.
Best friends, better enemies.
It's gonna go
Yeah.
buck wild.
Yeah, I know. I
I've
mean,
written
it's
some hate crimes, dog.
oh man, there's
Incredible.
and also you can show up for the amazing undercards, which involve guys that want to shotgun beers to win favor.
Yeah, if you want to learn that comedy is not that hard.
Oh, you will not. I have tried. The two things, like, because I do my day job, I do tours, and so I have a lot of tours from Idaho.
Okay.
And the two things I try to sell them the hardest on are Korean barbecue and the roast battle. Those
Bruh, stop doing that.
no,
You ruined my show.
No. Well, here's the thing. They want, like, because they ask about the Comedy Store and they're like, what's the show there? I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, honestly, the main room shows are going to be great. The original room shows are going to be what you saw in the main room, but a little more freewheeling.
Yeah.
And then in the belly room on Tuesday nights, there's Comedy Valhalla, where it's, the one that I went to one, I haven't been in a minute, but the last one I was at, it was, the main event was Dan St. Germain and Mike Lawrence.
Oh, I remember that.
And Mike had it was like such a brutal joke that was also clean, so I can actually tell it to tourists. I'm like, yeah, so Dan had a drinking problem, so Mike goes, Dan, you're the only person in the world who looks like he both drives a wagon and regularly falls off of one. I was like, that shit is fucking incredible. And but yeah, I try to tell, I'm just like, listen, just go in there, buy the ticket. It's insanity. Like, if you want to see just the raw teeming underbelly of Los Angeles comedy.
Yeah, and for better or for worse, because it's like you get the open, like the newly minted open micers that get their way in there. And I read the recaps of it, and it's just like I just go just for that, just to see
Yeah, those are always fun.
Oh, you mean just the minor hate crimes?
I my joke is always that the standard roast battle template for hack 3 month in is so and so gay that he AIDS'd all over the 9/11. I'm gonna Holocaust you right in the dead mom. There's an art to it, and some of these kids have not quite figured it out.
Yeah, so it's just incredibly. I always read the recaps just for that, because
it's pretty fun to watch those. I write the recaps sometimes.
Yeah, because
it is glorious to get to write out every fuck.
Yeah, no, but the best thing is that if you go to any garden variety open mic, somebody will say something that's just like, in your head, you're just like, that's, hideous. And I mean, it's not even to the level of when everybody starts out doing comedy, they're not good. Right. I was bad, and I'm still pretty bad. But the thing is that there's it's those lines that you just sit there and you're like, oh, okay, tell me more. What? And you're just, and they don't get the sanction at the open mics, but there it's like a room of people, including people that they were like, yeah, I'm going to win over this judge and they're going to get me, work and stuff like that. And then they just get destroyed.
Yeah,
it's playing with fire, man, because you can do anything, but you really got to know how to handle those things or you'll get swallowed by that fucking room.
Yeah, and also Keith's got an album.
I do. I forgot I have an album. I have an album.
The thing that can actually make you money.
Please let me know when that starts happening. I have an album called Forever Nap. It's on iTunes and Spotify, but buy it on iTunes because that's where I get the money from. And you can also buy it on vinyl if you go to my Bandcamp page.
Oh, sweet. Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're super happy to have you on. It's
dude, this was so much fun.
It's been a long time coming, so we're
it's amazing that we should have Keith on again, where he can actually go into depth about himself.
Oh my!
I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
My life is a nightmare, and it's not that funny. This was so much better.
Cool. Well, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TheGoodsPod. We're on Twitter @TheGoodsPod. Big shout out to our friend Richard Eden, our webmaster up there in the North Pole, putting together TheGoodsPod.com coming soon. And what? He literally lives in the North Pole.
I know. It's just...
It ain't no joke, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's real up there.
He's kicking it with the claws up there.
Yeah.
Mr. Goodnight looks like he lives in the South Pole then.
They got the penguins down there.
And the food is better.
That's the real Civil War. Is Santa versus Mr. Goodnight for control of the penguins.
Oh, I could take him out. He's got his elves, but I could get an army of leopard seals or something and shoot them things apart.
I got Roadkill and his vultures. We broke rivers.
It's broken rivers.
Pat, what should we do?
Yeah, what should we do, Pat?
Pat, what should they do when they get to iTunes?
They should rate, review, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Positive, so you can show, and that's a gesture, and it's important because it shows the attitude of gratitude.
And if y'all don't have the attitude of gratitude, then fuck you, Dada.
Alrighty.
Your guys' sign up is so much more positive than ours. Every Mean Boys podcast ends with "fuck everything, God is dead." Your guys' is so much better.
Well, Bible says, "Be not deceived; God is not mocked."
All right, well, I got 60 episodes of content that proves otherwise.
Yeah, well, he's got 109 books of content, so...
That's true. He has a lot of stuff, God. Some of it's uneven.
Yeah, and some of it's in the vault, like the, Gospel of Judas and, the other ones.
It's like Prince.
And the other ones that Danzig talks about during interviews.
They're the Gospel of Werewolves.
So have you read the Gospel of Lucifer? Some really interesting stuff in there.
Song of the week this week. This is Danzig with How the Gods Kill.
There cannot in this morning of my life show me how the gods kill.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.